atmosphere and casting out of your apartment in the living room, and at the same time not spending a tremendous amount of money and keeping that money for the production of the project you're working on.
You just gotta get up off your ass and get the film stock and borrow a camera and go out there and shoot it, as opposed to sitting around and planning and submitting, which is what we had done for some time, trying to raise funding through the powers that be.
Well, the film that we made cost $35,000, so there isn't a lot of precedence for that. So what we were trying to do was create our own model and let everybody else follow suit. The economics of the characters and the geography of the film match the economics of the making of the movie. It's very easy, especially if you're shooting a lot of handheld stuff, to sort of just say, well, let's just sit down and put the camera on a tripod or whatever. Let's just relax for a minute. And it's sort of what, you know, when the cameraman looks up to you exhausted, sweat pouring down his face with this Aton on his shoulder. It's like, you know, you kind of like, you know, but you just have to sort of keep on pushing everybody to try to maintain a certain kind of level. We create a live situation, and then the cameraman gets it, so it's an intact moment from the beginning to end. And that's a great way to work. Instead of breaking a scene down and stopping and getting the reaction shot and blah, 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 the whole thing happened right there live, and the whole scene unfold, you know, from beginning to end. If I didn't have these guys, I would be, you know, if I would just sort of like came in and directed this movie and then was kind of like at sea, I'd probably end up going out to Hollywood and kind of like kicking around waiting for whatever work, you know, the phone to ring or, you know, whatever to happen to me. But because we have this good little group here, we're able to approach things in a clear-eyed and responsible way and just continue to make films the way we want to make them.
Of course, we don't want to keep making movies for $35,000 because we like to pay our crews and, you know, be able to feed them a little bit better and things like that. But, you know, we're not that interested in making $40 million movies.
I think what's particularly exciting about American independent cinema right now is that it's giving a platform for many, many new voices from America, from many different parts of the culture. And I think that that's going to force, actually, eventually, Hollywood films to reflect more of the face of America and the changing population and the changing artistic voices that are around.
In Swoon, director Tom Kalin reinterpreted the scandalous 1920s Chicago trial of Nathan Leopold and Richard Loeb, two lovers accused of murdering a young boy. Rather than obscure the homosexuality of the two characters, Kalin took a different route.
At the heart of Swoon, I think, and it's one of the things that makes many audiences may be disturbed by the film, is a kind of unrepentant quality to it, or a refusal to moralize. Swoon doesn't have as its core desire to either locate Leopold and Loeb as victims or as heroes. Swoon really tries to tell the film from inside the relationship, the chaotic, contradictory, complex relationship of Leopold and Loeb, so that in a certain degree you are made to participate. I'm not peddling family values in Swoon, for instance. You know, I'm peddling values that are much more complicated, that ask you to, you know, ask questions about, for instance, the ideology of the family, or sexual roles, or racial roles, or various, you know, positions in society. And I think at the heart, you know, a lot of movies in Hollywood do have an extremely strong and very unself-critical promotion of, you know, family values, etc. And I think Swoon wants to interrupt that. You know, recognize that the audience is more complicated and diverse than it's been constituted by, you know, mainstream films.
Using the sort of new queer cinema as a banner with which to market films has its pluses, obviously, because films get more press, because you have a movement. But on the other hand, I think it's a great disservice to a film like Swoon, which I think certainly transcends issues of sexuality and gender into much broader, stronger ideas of desire and passion.
Where was I?
You were discussing Dickie and Babe's pathology.
Your Honor, if the defense is proposing that these bloodless murderers are insane.
I don't think either of us are saying, oh, there's absolutely no way we'd ever work within, a Hollywood system or whatever. But I do think there's certain fundamental things. I mean, ultimately, the things that make our films interesting are exactly the things often that those kinds of systems would strip away, like choice of cast, like final cut, and like the chance to really be innovative, take chances on people and on structure and on form. So once those things are gone, then who does it really matter who's making the film?
With The Living End, a road movie about two men infected with HIV, Greg Araki added another voice to queer cinema.
Where's the party, Animal? The world is ours.
So, figure this. There's thousands, maybe millions of us walking around with this thing inside of us, this time bomb ticking, making our futures finite. Suddenly I realized, we got nothing to lose.
I went to USC Film School, and being in a really industry-oriented school really sort of pushed me more towards sort of the independent, kind of underground edge, and that I knew my films were, just in terms of content and form, a little bit too weird or esoteric or artsy for mainstream taste.
Now don't kill him until I get back. And no more flirting.
She shouldn't go out there alone. There's snakes in those bushes.
I can take care of myself. You better believe it.
Oopsie.
Snakes.
I really wanted the film to be as, sort of weird and as radical and as, just sort of bold and out there as I possibly could. And I think that the difference is, in, say, a Hollywood film, they very much want to do sort of the opposite, and they sort of want to rein me in and, don't make it, too weird, and don't offend that part of the audience.
You really want to go back to your I'm HIV positive and everything's normal, hunky-dory life? Well, go fucking right ahead. Just don't forget to have sex in a plastic bag and don't plan anything too far in the future.
The best thing about being an independent filmmaker is you have what's called the freedom of the underground. That you can do things, you can say things, you can try things that Hollywood films can't.
I think he's going to keep doing that. I think that's what he wants to do. I think that to use somewhat better actors, the budget may go from $25,000 to $500,000. Same with 35 millimeter, shooting. But this last film was mixed on a Macintosh computer, for almost nothing. And as the technology changes, it's going to be easier and easier to make these very cheap films for someone like Greg, who's got that much talent.
If you're determined to make a film now, I am convinced that you can find a way to make it. Whether you shoot it on video and get it transferred, where you get everyone and all the equipment for free, where you save up for 2 or 3 years, all those ways now are possible, whereas before it was completely out of the question.
I think I'll always be a guerrilla filmmaker. At one point, one critic called us outlaws. And so, yes, I'm a film outlaw. And I think that's a good thing to be.
Domnilor, somnul vă este tulburat din cauza urinărilor dese de peste noapte? Ziua aveți aceeași problemă, urinările frecvente? Aveți dureri sau probleme cu prostata și aparatul urinar? Ați încercat